Hello friends, welcome to Code Semantic and welcome to the video tutorial of Entity Framework 6. We are studying code first approach in Entity Framework 6. This video is an introduction to Fluent API. Now what is Fluent API? It is one of the way to configure your domain classes in code first approach. Before this, we have already studied two different methods to configure your domain classes. First one is default code first convention and another one is data annotation. Now let us study Fluent API in detail. Now, as I told you, Fluent API is another way to configure our domain classes, and it is much flexible and better from the viewpoint of configuration. Now, what the meaning of this statement is? Basically, while studying data annotation, I told you that there are some limitations of default code first convention. To overcome these limitations, we studied data annotation. Similarly, there are some limitations related to data annotation. So to overcome that limitation, we are going to study the Fluent API. So from that point of view, you can say it is much flexible, powerful, and better from the viewpoint of configuration. Now, there are different methods used for configuration, and basically that methods are entity configuration. Now, entity configuration is nothing but that will configure your tables, whereas property configuration will configure your columns in the tables, and model configuration is for configuring our database. I'm excluding the model configuration part here. I'll create a separate video for that. So in this video or in this particular Fluent API series, I'll initially focus on entity configuration and property configuration only, and later on I'll cover this part. Okay. Now, how to implement the Fluent API in your application? Basically, Fluent API uses DB model builder class to map the domain classes to the database. Okay. Now, the reference to this DB model builder class is obtained by overriding the on model creating method of the DB context object. See, while studying the code first approach practically, I told you that we have to create one DB context class. The name can be anything, okay, and that context class will be inherited from DB context class. Okay, basically our DB context class represent the database. So what you have to do to implement this Fluent API, you have to override the on model creating method of this DB context class, and there you have to write a code to configure your domain classes, to configure your properties, and to configure your models. Okay. Now, this DB model builder class includes the methods to configure your domain model, and these methods are for model wide configuration, for entity configuration, and for property configuration. So as I wrote it in a bracket, model configuration is going to represent database, entity configuration is going to represent the table, whereas property configuration is going to represent the columns in the table. And again, I'm going to focus on entity configuration and property configuration initially, and later on or at last we are going to study model wide configuration. Okay, so let us see what is entity configuration. So entity configuration is done to configure your table. Okay, so the method which is used for configuring the entities is entity itself. The method name is also what? Entity, and it is again a generic method. So here you have to specify the class name or domain class name, or in short you can say entity type which you want to configure. I mean, say I have a domain class customer, so what I have to do? I have to say entity customer. Okay, I hope you understand this. Now this method returns entity type configuration object to configure this entity. Okay, and the important method of this entity type configuration object are listed in the next slide. So let us see this method one by one. So the first method is toTable. Okay, suppose you want to configure your table name differently other than your entity name. What default code first convention says? It will actually pluralize your class name and that name will be the name of your table. Okay, but suppose you want to override this default code first convention. So in Fluent API, you have to use this toTable method. So you can specify another name, another table name for your entity if you want a different name, definitely at that time. Has key is used to configure the primary key for the selected entity type. Similarly, there is has foreign key method also, which is used to configure your foreign key. Definitely, when we are going to set the relationship between the entities, at that time it is helpful. Okay, actually, as a separate method, we cannot use it. We have to use this method while defining or while configuring the relationship between the entities. Now, the following methods, from has many to with many, has many, with required, has optional, with optional, and with many. All these methods are used to establish relationship between entities. Now, what are the relationship? One to one to many, many to many. So, these methods are helpful to establish the relationship between your entities. And now the last method is will cascade on delete. Okay, so I hope all of you know the meaning of cascade on delete. See, when there is parent and child relationship between your table, okay, means if I say department has employee, okay, so department is a parent table and employee is a child table, and there is a relationship between these two tables. Okay, so cascade delete means what? When your parent table data get deleted, the corresponding child table rows also get deleted, or corresponding child table records also get deleted. So that is called a cascade on delete. So by default cascade on delete option is true or on in entity framework. Means if you have this one to many relationship, in that case if your parent row get deleted or parent record get deleted, its corresponding child records also get deleted. Okay, and we cannot turn off that option in data annotation or in default code first convention. We have to take a help of Fluent API. So this will cascade on delete method will allows us to turn off that cascade delete option. You can set it to true also. When you set it to true, in that case cascade on delete will work, and if you set it to false, in that case cascade on delete option will not work. Means if you delete the parent record, in that case no child record will be deleted if it is present in the child table. Okay, definitely we are going to see this example practically also, so it will be more easy to understand. Okay, now let us see property configuration. In previous slide of entity configuration, I told you that entity method returns the entity type configuration object. Okay, and this object has a property method, and this particular method is used to configure your property. Okay, so the configuration object has a method which can be used to configure the property, and I listed that methods in the next slide. Okay, so let us see that methods. So suppose you want to specify some different name to your column, you can use other than your property name. Basically what happens, according to default code first convention, whatever is your property name, that is going to be your column name. But if you want to specify a different column name, you can use has column name method. You want to change the column order, you have this has column order method. And again, if you want to change the column type, okay, in that case you can go for has column type, because while studying default code first convention, I told you that how C# data type get mapped to SQL Server data types. Okay, but suppose you want to change the data type, in that case we have this option of has column type method. Then one more method is there, has database generated type. So this is used to configure how your values of the properties are generated. Okay, by default primary keys are what? Identity column. Identity column means what? Their values get generated automatically. Okay, in data annotation we saw this option, how to opt this option. Okay, means you want to provide that values manually. In that case, we have to opt this option for primary key. So in data annotation, we saw it in the form of attribute, whereas in Fluent API there is one method given, that is has database generated type method. Okay, now the next property is has max length, which is used to specify the size of the column. If your column is of type varchar or n varchar, basically if it is of type string, in that case you can specify the length. Then next two properties are is optional and is required. Suppose you want to specify a particular column as nullable, in that case you can use is optional, whereas if you want to specify a particular column as non-nullable, you have to use is required. Now when these two methods are required, see, if you are working with reference data types in C#, by default reference types are what? Nullable. So if you want to make that columns non-nullable, in that case you will use is required. Whereas is optional is used when if you are using value data type like integer, float or double in C#. So value data types are by default what? Non-nullable. But if you want to set that column as nullable, in that case you can use this is optional method. Okay. Now this is our property configuration. Definitely there are few more methods available, but these are the important methods that I have covered, and you can learn that method yourself because that are easy methods. Okay, so I'm not going to cover all the property configuration here, only important methods are going to be covered. Again, one more thing I want to mention here, that if you are going to use mix approach, means if you want to use default code first convention, then data annotation, and then Fluent API, then also it is okay. Basically I'll suggest that approach. Whatever you cannot do with default code first convention, plus first try it with data annotation. If it is not cannot be done with the help of data annotation, then go for Fluent API. It is not necessary that if you are following one approach, then go through that approach only. You can mix all the three approaches to configure your database. Definitely it is my personal suggestion. It is up to you which approach you want to follow. So from the next video, we are going to see the practical implementation of this. Thank you so much.